I'm joined here by the Assistant Majority Leader in the U.S. Senate, Dick Durbin, the number 2 Democrat. Senator Durbin, as always, thanks for the time. I appreciate it. We're hearing on the House side some problems for John Boehner with his bill. We see here the Senate bill being crafted by Senator Reid. Perhaps some troubles here in terms of getting votes. Are you at 60 right now?
I'm not sure that we're at 60, and we won't be until we have a bipartisan agreement. Speaker Boehner's run into some problems. Not only did the rating agencies say that this would not be good for the economy, the short-term approach, but then about 100 members of his caucus said they wouldn't vote for it. Then the Congressional Budget Office said the numbers don't add up. So he's starting all over. He's going to try to rewrite it this week. We only have a few days to go. In the Senate, we have an approach that I think is more reasonable. It's one that has a longer-term extension of the debt ceiling so we don't lurch from crisis to crisis. I hope in the end that we can bring in Republican senators and maybe lead the way with a bipartisan effort in the Senate.
Something that's going to have to change, though, with what we see right now on paper from the Reid plan. How would it change?
It's likely that it will change, and I can't tell you how it will change because we will sit down with Senator McConnell and the Senate Republicans. Yesterday I had 2 meetings with Senate Republican senators, Senate Democratic senators. We sat down and talked about the Gang of 6 proposal and whether or not that can be a fallback position here to long-term deficit reduction. And I think there was a feeling in this room that made sense for us to get back to something that puts everything on the table, that has a meaningful reduction in the deficit, but doesn't threaten the economy the way this debt ceiling default would.
Well, what about back over in the House of Representatives? The reason John Boehner's plan isn't winning the support of his colleagues is because it doesn't cut enough. It's not tough enough. How are you going to get a plan here in the Senate that can clear that House?
I can't tell you how Speaker Boehner can manage his caucus. In fact, he could tell you after yesterday's experience that there are days when he wonders how to manage it. When I understand 100 of his members walked away from him and said they wouldn't support him. There comes a point, though, where Speaker Boehner, myself, and others have to accept a responsibility to this country that is greater than any responsibility to a caucus or a party. We cannot let the American economy fail. We cannot have a mortal blow to this economy as we go through this weak recovery.
How great is risk is downgrade right now, even before we get to August 2nd? Because the rating agencies are watching this, and they don't see a lot of progress.
Rating agencies have told us it's not only your long-term debt, but the fact that you're lurching day to day, week to week with no resolution on the debt ceiling. This is the first time in America's modern history when we failed to extend the debt ceiling on a timely basis. There was one technical default, but never before a crisis like this, and that is part of the downgrade. This is a self-inflicted wound. I think the House Republicans overplayed their hand.
Just finally, you've got Democrats. I've heard some privately say, we've already lost these negotiations. Republicans are getting a win no matter what. What do you make of that? Has the president effectively lost this argument?
3 times this president put a proposal before the House Republicans, and look what happened. Eric Cantor walked away from the vice president. John Boehner walked away from the president twice. The president has made a good faith effort to find a long-term solution to our deficit and work with Speaker Boehner, and they've walked away each time. So he has put an effort in. In terms of winners and losers, ultimately we want the families and businesses of this country to win. In a weak economy, they won't win if we go into default on the debt ceiling.
All right, Senator Dick Durbin, thanks for the time. I appreciate you joining us here on Bloomberg.